Good day. I was goofing around with the StarCut the other day, and I stumbled into something that I wanted to share. Um, what you see here is a circle with from two seeds, as you've seen in pretty much all my videos. I laid out a square in the middle and then a StarCut over top of it. That's where we'll start from. I uh, I was staring at this. I was just goofing around, like I said. I didn't really know where to take it or what to do, but I was looking for places to put my pencil down. And you can see there's several points around it that kind of beg for a compass or a line or a connection. And well, the first thing I thought, a force of habit really. When I get to a position like this, I tend to, you know, quarter off a quadrant and look for the phi circle. Well, the circle that's related by phi to this circle. But this time, I, like I said, I was examining the star cut, so I did that. And like I said, it was probably more force of habit than anything else. But it seemed like a logical place to get started. So I'm marking it in pencil here, in part because this is the third time I've done this video and wasn't quite happy with the results of what came. Either I put my pencil in the wrong spot, I wasn't able to highlight the right square, or it was just so sloppy it didn't show what I wanted it to show. As with most things in this game, accuracy is king. And if too many errors mount up, it gets ugly pretty quickly. So just want to have a look at this line again. So as I mentioned, I got this diamond in the middle by connecting these points together. And I paused there for a second because it reminded me of a video I saw a long, long time ago, um, where you would take a circle and put the square over top of it with the diamond, and then connect the corners to the square, to this diamond shape. And they would use that for medieval astrological readings. And that made sense. I mean, if you think about it, you've got 12 points around the circle. So there's your zodiac. And then the different portions inside. I mean, obviously the star card wouldn't be there. They would just quarter off and go. But they would use the quarters for the celestial bodies, so the planets, the moon, the sun, and they would take your birth date and lay them out in the quarters, and that would be your star chart. Just a little piece of sacred geometry lore. But that's what led me to do what I did next. I would have ordinarily done that anyway to get the intersection in one of these quadrants, but I thought that's a logical spot to go next, is to connect the corners of this major square. And I'm just going to try and do it lightly because I don't want to fill this whole thing up with lines. And when I noticed when I had finished that was now I've got 4 more points that I can connect to make another square. Just give me a moment. I'm going to mark those points with my compass just to make it a little easier. And I'll connect that square inside the diamond, inside the square. I'm trying to be meticulous because I want this to look good. In the very least, I want it to show what I'm trying to show you. find regardless of what I do with this, the compounding errors really throw it off, which you'd expect for this sort of activity. So it deserves and requires a bit of attention. So the first thing we notice is our inner square lines up with the star cut, which that's perfect. That's great. I'm glad it does that. The second thing I noticed as I was looking at this design was this inner square and how it's slightly pointed towards this arm of the circle, the intersection of the seeds. But I wasn't sure as I looked at it, is that perfect? Is there something wonky about it? So I drew a line just to check. And this isn't a necessary step, but I'm trying to illustrate the point here. I drew that line and I looked at it and I was like, okay, that's clearly not a right angle. So this square does not line up with that point. But as my eyes were tracking along this line, I noticed this. And what this is an intersection of the star cut with the diamond that we drew, just to start this whole thing off. And when I saw that, I was reminded of a video I watched from an engineer named D'Amico. I believe that was his name. If it wasn't, it won't matter. I'll put his video in the chat. Brilliant guy. As I mentioned, he's an engineer, and he wanted to prove that it was possible to square the circle within a certain margin of error, because obviously pi is an irrational number, and on paper it's impossible to do. So he did it both with compass, square, and protractor, and he did it with his computer to prove that it could be done. And he came up with a calculation that the intersection of the square to the circle should be at 62.4 degrees of the circle. And at the time, that was disappointing for me because I'd already been playing with this design, and I thought, perhaps this is a squared circle. But he basically poo-pooed that. He said, no, there's no way. 62.4 degrees is the number. So what about this point? Because if we know that from here to here is 60 degrees, and it is, it has to be because it's based on the seed, and the seed intersects 6 times in a 360-degree circle. So if this is 60 degrees to this line, how many degrees is it to that point? Is it 62.4? Because, it's not far off. Just from eyeballing, you can see that. So I wanted to see it. And what I did, actually, before I go there, what I did was I drew another line from that point to the identical point on the other side of the star cut. And I bisected the circle through it. So what that tells us is that whatever angle this is to this square, I'm going to use the inner square here. Strangely, it doesn't work for this square, but one thing at a time. If we go from this square at the same angle to this square, it's the same angle, right? It's a straight line. It's same angle. So we should be able to do the same thing to both squares, the small one in the middle and the large one outside. So I will attempt to do that for you. Find my origin. There we go. So first, apologies you can't see it. First we'll go to this intersection. And then we'll go to the outside intersection. Just have a look at the two circles, how they compare. Try to make it stand out for you. So when I did this, when I was doing my stumbling around and I found this, I did some math on the small circle. So this guy here, this guy here in the small square. And I'll show it to you. When I originally did this, using eyeball calculations with a ruler, all right, so there's definitely error here. The error in the diagram, error in the measurement, there's going to be error. But when I did those calculations, I got the area of the square at 24.5 and the area of the circle at 24.63. That would be centimeters squared for both, which is remarkably close, especially for me. And I can't ignore that this might be 62.4 degrees based on that. And the end result is I'm going to do this many times and calculate many times and see how close they stay. And if I can get it closer, if I can get it consistently closer. Understanding I could use a protractor, but it's, it's ground into me. Maybe one day I'll get over that. But for now, compass and ruler are all I want to use, and some math. So I'll keep doing some math and just play with this and see whether I can consistently do it. Because I think it's pretty close. I really do. And I wanted to share it. I wanted to let other people know how to do it and let them play around and see if they can do it better, or maybe somebody knows and has worked with this before. I can't ignore all of the right angle triangles that show up in this diagram. They're not 3, 4, 5 triangles. There's nothing special about them. I didn't, put my compass to a specific width when I started this. I just picked one and went. But the right angle triangles are everywhere inside this diagram. I can't think that that's not significant. And yeah, I want to keep playing with this because it's pretty cool, and I like it. And I like that I wasn't trying. I just kind of stumbled into it, like I said. So I'll leave that with you, or leave it with you. No, what am I trying to say? I will leave it here for now, but I'll definitely be chatting with you soon. I've got some interesting stuff that I want to bring out for the next few videos, but I need a lot of practice with it because it's pretty complicated. All right, I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.